My personal journey into media, Snapchat, Instagram, and Google Classroom. As educators, it is imperative that we have an understanding of the applications, the digital world, and the programs that our students and teachers are currently using. For my personal journey into media, I investigated 3 apps, 1 educational app, Google Classroom, and 2 social media apps, Snapchat and Instagram. Young people in the high school area use these social media apps on a regular basis in the schools, in the classrooms, and during their daily social lives. It was very interesting to hear my students' voices, their opinions and thoughts on these educational social media apps. Some enjoyed social media app as a way to socialize with their friends, and some found social media apps to be time-consuming. What surprised me the most was when it came to looking at educational apps. Students preferred using apps like Google Classroom for the reason that they felt way more comfortable having access to the schoolwork at their fingertips via their cell phones. Comments made were that it's really easy and organized, and it's nice to have an access to assignments digitally instead of paper-based. My students' only complaint about Google educational apps was that they wish that teachers would just stick to 1 educational app, not a whole ton of others at the same time. More and more educators today have been using educational apps like Google Classroom and Remind, and due to this current trend, more and more students have become accustomed and are asked to use apps during their high school careers. Investigating and reviewing educational and social media apps. I begin with Snapchat. While reviewing the website Snapchat, it claims to let its users have easy access to socialize with friends and to view live stories from around the world and to explore the news in the Discover section. Its basic motto in life is that it's more fun when you live in the moment. Snapchat is an image messaging app that can be accessed through smartphones. Its main feature is that messaging, pictures, and videos can only be available a short time before they become inaccessible, which encourages natural interaction amongst its users. Although Snapchat was originally mainly focused on being private for sharing, it has now changed to very different sharing tasks, such as being able to share short images, videos, and create caricatures, live video messaging, and you can now create Bitmojis. Something that was totally new to me was how people can create their own filters, and it can now show your location on the world map. Did you know that there's a Snapchat lingo? After having asked my students about the Snapchat lingo, here's what I took from it. The Snap code. This code allows your friends to use a Snap code. I guess this code makes adding friends easier, and from what I understand, it's similar to a QR code. Then there's the score. This is the number next to a person's handle in the Snapchat. It's the number of snaps a person has sent. The higher the score, the more likely you are to use Snapchat. The Snap streak. This is an emoji next to a Snapchat name, which means that you are on a Snapchat streak with this friend. And then the trophy case. Did you know that you can earn trophies with Snapchat? I didn't, and I guess this encourages the interaction between its users. Terms of service of Snapchat. Snapchat Terms of Service has been revised for non-American citizens since September 26th of 2017. In order to use Snapchat, all users must accept the Terms and Services privacy policy before they are allowed to use the app. No one under 13 is allowed to create or use a Snapchat account. This was a surprise to me as I've seen youngsters use Snapchat. Users cannot copy, distribute, sell, or lease any part of the Snapchat services. The privacy implications of Snapchat. Anyone can use anyone's images and videos. They do not need to improve their services in order to create better ones. Snapchat does make responsibility. What you share in Snapchat is your responsibility. Snapchat encourages you to read their privacy policy because really, in the fine print, nothing is private. They encourage you not to post irresponsibly and respect the rights of others, which means that they are discouraging bullying and harassment. The educational value of Snapchat. It's hard to believe that Snapchat may have some educational value, but it's true. For instance, teachers can use Snapchat for the following purposes. Teachers can use Snapchat stories for classroom reminders. Teachers can use Snapchat for classroom discussions, post a topic, and then snap it later in the classroom. You can now allow students to follow your Snapchat. That does not mean that you have to follow them back. Snapchat allows its users to make that decision, which is nice because not all teachers want to know what students are doing in their personal lives. You can use the 1 to 20 second snaps to your story. which will keep your snaps all day long and to see which students have viewed your snaps. And also, you can use Snapchat to make learning fun and engaging. The digital citizenship concerns and comments of Snapchat. Snapchat discourages bad behavior, though they do not take responsibility should something happen. The Digital Citizenship Education Saskatchewan Schools document and policy book would be a beneficial guide in the situation of Snapchat. Teachers could model positive Snapchat behavior and have frank discussions about what is acceptable and not acceptable on Snapchat, as well as at the same time encourage positive digital citizens within students and inside and outside the classroom. Investigating the app Instagram. Instagram for myself and for some of my students is a popular social media app. Comparable to Twitter and Facebook, it is mainly used for sharing videos and pictures on a profile account and news feed. The users of Instagram can share their pictures, videos privately or publicly with pre-approved followers. Instagram allows you to have a private or a public profile account, which is quite nice if you want to remain quite private from others. While reviewing the social media app, students mainly use this app for the following: to take a photograph, to filter photographs, to add interesting funny captions, and to share the photo with their followers. For the past couple of years, Instagram has followed suit similar to Snapchat, where it has used the features of video Instagram stories. These stories summarize a student's activities during a day, and then the story disappears after 24 hours. When I made discussions with my students about the possible negatives of Instagram, female students expressed feelings of anxiety when using the app. For instance, my female student users post self-images of themselves on Instagram. They expressed insecurities and anxiety over their feelings of negative body imaging and Instagram, either from their follower friends, movie stars that they followed. This concerned me as I do not want our students, my daughter, having anxiety about self-image. Body image over app on social media is a concern. The terms of service of Instagram. Users must be 13 years of age. It encourages users not to use others' accounts without others' permissions. The app, like Snapchat, discourages bullying and harassment of others. It explains to its users that their own images and videos through Instagram, they have the right to sell their images without payment to the users. Your personal information on Instagram, including your address, friends, pictures, locations, and where you visit, your personal messages on Instagram, pretty much anything you do on Instagram can be shared from Instagram at any time with other third-party companies. The privacy implications. Just like Snapchat, Instagram, and other social media apps, users connect via private messages and comments. This can be dangerous if a student is on a private setting. For instance, if users are in a public setting on Instagram, this leaves them open to potential bullying and harassment from other strangers. Because Instagram is mainly focused on sharing images, children could access inappropriate images and also possibly share inappropriate images of themselves. Students also have the option not to share their location with others. Instagram users can change their account to a privacy setting. Users can also decline or approve their followers, which is similar to Snapchat. Students that I spoke to expressed that they were content that they had control over negative comments by blocking other users from making comments on their Instagram posts. The educational value of Instagram. In the past, I played with Instagram in the classroom. It can be easily used with caution in the following purposes. You can show off student work, take pictures of student novel projects, what could be only accessed to families in the community, capture classroom memories, take memorable pictures, use Instagram curriculum-based research for classroom projects, and create a lesson plan via Instagram. Digital citizenship concerns and comments. Similar to Snapchat, Instagram discourages bad behavior, though they do not take the responsibility if something bad should happen. The DC Education Saskatchewan Schools would be a beneficial guide in the situation of Instagram. Teachers could model positive Instagram behavior, use this app for a celebration of learning with students. Teachers and students could also continue to have discussions on acceptable usage via Instagram. This will end and encourage positive digital citizens within our students inside and outside the classroom setting. Google Classroom application. Google Classroom is a free app that was made from the Google name for the school systems. Their app was to aid teachers and students share educational documents amongst each other. Google lives in our schools either via Google Docs, Google Slides, and YouTube. I began to use Google Classroom last year and this year, and it has been a major part of my teaching practices. I truly appreciate the many benefits of this app and having my students, and also teaching within the dynamic between myself and my students. I find that students can be organized with their assignments while using this application. Students also take ownership of lost or missed assignments. For instance, if a student loses his or her assignment, they can now simply go directly to the Google Classroom and access it. I've also noticed that students are quick to hand in assignment submissions because reminders on Google Classrooms are sent to them. When they see that their assignment is late on the Google Classroom, they rush to hand it in and submit it. I find that Google Classroom sets a nice tone for the classroom and the way it's organized, meaning that the students know how and what to expect if ever they forget. I truly love Google Classroom, as do other teachers in my school, though, do students truly love it? Is it fair that I have students hand in assignments via Google Classroom? Is it a positive teaching practice to print assignments for students but to also display the assignment on Google Classroom in case a student loses them? The positives of Google Classroom from my students. My students find that the classroom is organized and sectioned off nicely. It can be accessed anywhere with the Wi-Fi. Students express that they look for daily announcements. Students express that they like the collaborative component of the app. Students shared that it became easy to submit assignments after some practice. They also enjoyed receiving feedback on assignments once it was returned. And also, less paper for the classroom means better for the environment. The negatives of Google Classroom. The setup of Google Classroom is a long process. If the internet's down, they are unable to access the assignments, and some students express, why must every class use Google Classroom? The educational value is that many educators love using this app. Students and parents shared frustration that they're always needing to access the internet. There are, of course, positives that we discussed before, that it is an educational and organizational app. In terms of service, Google does not clearly provide a complete breakdown of what it takes and collects from students in the services and privacy policy. Students and teachers are technically being studied and observed on what they're going to be using with Google in the classroom. For the digital citizenship concerns and comments, Google is essentially a money-making machine and has branded itself into many schools within our division. When thinking about digital citizenship, educators and schools and community need to be questioning policies in terms of services with big companies like the Google Classroom. Social media and education apps can be used only if its users know how to properly use them. This begins at the home and in the classroom, where media apps users have been taught how to share online properly. If social media and educational apps are used correctly and in a positive manner, technology creates an engaging and authentic learning environment. We cannot fear technology as it continues to grow socially and educationally within educational and social media apps. Educators need to integrate digital citizenship meaningfully in order to foster positive digital citizens, which will encourage proper social media and educational app usage. Thank you so much, ECNI 832 and Alec, for listening to my presentation and my journey with media.